guys, it's Kelly Lativola here, and I am back with the next installment of What Would Kelly Make? And today we're going to be talking about pattern stamping. So this is something, if you watch the technique video, you heard me say, I really love the stamp set. This is called Happy Hour, and it's the stamps and the dies. That's what I picked to work with. And this was designed by Kathy Zilski. I am a colorist. That's what I like to do. I like to color. So I'm not typically drawn to things that are solid images. However, the sentiments in this are fantastic. So I ended up going with Let's Get Lit, I'll Spring for the Uber. But there's a lot of other ones, like really good, fun ones in there too. They just kind of like make me giggle. I feel like Kathy Zilski could totally be my, like, part of my wolf pack, for real. So anyway, I picked a rainbow of Simon Says Stamp inks here, and I am just going to kind of start building this rainbow background. I'm going to start with my tallest image, just so I can kind of gauge how much space I need. And then I'm going to start filling in the other images around it. I am not, in this particular one, I am not trying to create a perfect pattern. I'm trying to create a random pattern. I want it to look like pattern paper. And I am, just trying to make sure that I'm not having any gapping. And that's why it's important to start in the middle. If you start, in a certain corner and then you start building out from there, you're increasing your likelihood that you're not going to be able to get the whole thing covered. Or if you just start stamping randomly, you could leave yourself some pretty significant gaps, and then it's not going to look fluid. Another thing, here, like you can see as I'm going through, I'm just trying out different ones to see which one I feel like is going to be the best fit. But it is important that in creating something like this, that you want to stamp off the side of the page. So I have my grid paper pack that's underneath it, which is brilliant for me. I love it. I use it to line up my card. You can see, to make sure that my stamping's straight. I'm just holding that down with washi tape. And then it also helps me in my actual stamping because I can see the lines next to it. But anyway, you want to stamp off the page. The reason you want to stamp off the page is going to give it that continuity, so that it looks like you just cut through this, 8.5 by 11 or 12 by 12 pattern piece of paper. Except we didn't. We're making it ourselves. Once the first line is down, I'm going to build up. That's just what works best for me. You can absolutely build down. I like to kind of fill in my images like up towards a corner and then kind of work my way across. So here you can see I'm just trying to see where this little wine glass is going to best fit. It is better to work in kind of like rows or layers, where I kind of fill in the middle again, like around that middle image, and then I'm going to work toward the top left-hand corner. And the reason that is because it's going to, again, reduce that happenstance for any kind of gaps in your pattern. If you're doing florals, this will also, work for that. Any other items or objects, these ones are interesting because they are all not the same, shape or size. Some of them are taller, some of them are wider. And so I thought it would be a good stamp set to just kind of do something like this with, because it is going to be random. Like I said, I'm not trying to go tall wine glass, short wine glass, martini glass, beer glass. Like I'm not trying to do that. That washi tape that I use to hold my paper in place, I'll move that as I need to. I must have just been kind of in the moment, because usually I put it back down on the side, which I think eventually it'll make its return. But I just do that to decrease any amount of movement from my paper while I'm stamping. And then everything stays in the same place and I can use those grid lines in the background. If you watch the technique video, I showed you when you start to move down what not to do. Here, I'm starting with my shortest image, which is that little tiny wine glass. It's probably not even called a wine glass. I'm not a drinker. We should probably just go ahead and address that. I drink, when I go out, I drink Kahlua and cream. And the guys I work with call it my milk. They're like, oh, let's go to the bar, we'll get Kelly's milk. Because it tastes like chocolate milk and there's not a lot of alcohol in it, because I can't hold my liquor. I'm just not one of those people. But the reason, besides the sentiments, I think the stamp set would be like totally cute for if you were having a like a bachelorette party, or you know, the beer. Well, there's probably some dads out there who drink wine. I don't judge. But like the beer mugs and things like that, I think would be super cool for like Father's Day that's coming up. So just like pool parties would be fun, girls' night out kind of thing. I just think that this would be kind of a cute set to use. But anyway, I'm moving my way down, and I was careful not to line my stamps up with each other, because that's also going to create that gapping. So I just, you know, kept doing what I was doing, which was snuggle them up next to each other, make them snuggle buddies, and just continue down the page. So for the sentiment, there is the dies that match the stamp set, and in that they have the cheers, the script cheers, and then also the script let's get lit, which still just makes me laugh. It totally sounds like something I would say to one of my girlfriends. So I'm treating some Black Simon Says stamp paper with my embossing, my anti-static tool, and then I'm stamping both the large part of the sentiment and the smaller strip, or what will be a label, in Versamark ink. And I'm going to emboss that in white. I just happen to, I mean, if you've watched any of these before, you know I'm all about those little tiny labels, the white embossing on black. I can't stop myself. It just gives such a clean look. I just love it. So I'm going to put on the white embossing powder, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat set this until it's all smooth and melted. And then I will get my die out. I'm going to trim that part at the bottom just into a little label. But the Let's Get Lit, I'm going to put the die in, and I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. This card, which I'm sure you noticed, like this video is not very long. It's a terribly short one for me. But that's because there wasn't really, I mean, after I got the stamping done, like, I mean, we're really just like kind of onto assembly. So one of the things that I struggle when using like busy patterns, kind of like this, and one of the ways that I have found to kind of break it up is by adding a piece of vellum. So here I have a 2-inch piece of vellum, and it's 2 inches wide, and I think about 4 3/4 long. I'm just folding that around the back, and I'm going to secure it with some Scotch tape, so that way I don't have to worry about adhering it with anything, like to the front of the card where you'd be able to see it. And that's just going to help give my sentiment a platform to sit on, so that it's not sitting on that busy background paper. This is just some white fun foam I'm going to use to pop it up, because I am putting this on a black card base. I trimmed my stamped panel down about just a little less than 1/4 of an inch, so that I would have a black strip on the side. I felt like that was kind of going to give my card some balance with the black sentiment that I had going on, and I thought it would be fun to have it popped up. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting that down, and as you'll see, it's just like maybe an eighth. Maybe it was like an eighth of an inch that I trimmed off on the right-hand side, and then I'm going to put the sentiment on the left. So I'm using more Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I'm going to glue that directly to the vellum, which will give it a little bit of lift because the vellum isn't going to stick down. I am going to put the label part of it on some some Scotch foam tape. I know what I'm talking about, I swear. And then I knew I was going to have to adhere it over the get part of it, because that G hangs down and it looked awkward too far away. I still feel like it's legible when you read it, so I was okay with it. And then the last thing I did was just use some clear glitter pen on the quote-unquote contents of the drinks. And then that's it. Then I called it. I didn't add anything else. I thought it was super cute just the way it was. So hopefully you guys will, have learned something and maybe give this a try, sometime soon. See what kind of, fun summer backgrounds you can create with, random pattern building. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you next month for the next installment. Bye.